up, everybody? Keith, aka Gator Guy 231, is Thursday, August 13th, here to break down today's Champions League showdown between Atletico Madrid and Red Bull Leipzig. Just a quick go over of yesterday. So kind of as I expected, it was pretty chalky slate. Obviously, everybody that was paying attention locked in Neymar and Gomez as one of their captains. Then it really just came down to your punts. I was more on the PSG side of things with the Marquinhos, Gay, and Herrera midfield. It was funny, like right before lock, I switched, or I thought I switched to Marquinhos from Idrissa Gay. I guess didn't hit save. It's whatever. Like the funny part is, for like 88 minutes, I would have been if I would have made the move, I would have been tilted that I rostered Marquinhos, because Gay was better for most of the game, and then Marquinhos, of course, scores the goal. So that's DFS. Like it's whatever. But today I think is very, very different. Just based on the pricing and just based off the routes you can go, I don't think there'll be very chalky constructions at all. I think there'll be a few guys that'll go over here that everybody's building around. But after that, you can go a lot of ways. All right, just a quick reminder, bottom right of the screen, please, if you have not already, subscribe to the FSI YouTube channel. Our goal is 1,000 subs. We'd like to get there sooner than later. We're in the mid 600s, so if you guys can help, it would be greatly appreciated. It's definitely the best way you can show love for the videos that we're putting out. All right, let's jump into the action. So, had to be a little bit cheeky here, put in Simeone on the cover. And the reason is I think that how he decides to play this match from the Atletico side, who are favored, is going to say a lot for, how this works from the DFS side of the ball. He could very much just sit back for the first half and accept pressure on, which if that happens, sorry, I could not talk, but if that happens, we can see a lot of the Leipzig guys show up with big games early, and then Simeone just tries to catch him on the counter, or does he let his guys kind of go at it for the first few minutes and then drop back into a shell? That'll be a big thing today. Let's just go over the odds. It's only a 2.25 total. Atletico is a slight favorite at plus 129. Leipzig's plus 259. Keep in mind these is a neutral site, so we do not have any sort of home field advantage to speak of. All right, I want to start out actually on the Leipzig side, because I think that is the better DFS side, and kind of maybe where we want to, start our lineups. So before going to the players, keep in mind Leipzig ended the German season early. So, they're going to have some rust here. Now, the thing with Leipzig is they like to press and they like to attack early. We saw that versus Spurs. We've seen that throughout the Bundesliga season when we were playing those DFS games. Excuse me. So, there's a very good chance that the rust could come off really quick, depending on how much they press. And I think that that is something they'll look to do. The other big thing, obviously, is that Timo Werner is now officially with Chelsea. He's by far their best player, their best goal scorer, their best attacker, the fulcrum of their attack. So how they're going to do without him will be very interesting. All right, let's talk about the DFS plays. I think that this lineup is very similar to what I've seen predicted on multiple sites. So I'm just going to kind of go with it as the most likely route. The big thing will be Sabitzer, or Sabitzer, or however you say it. I've seen him predicted in some lineups, and multiple people mentioning a potential knock as well. This one does not have him. If he is in, he's the most expensive player on the slate. Here's the thing: I don't think he's like necessary anyways. He doesn't on set pieces. He'll probably be playing in this midfield too. He's fine, but at his price tag, I think that he may get you off of a lot of the other top plays that you probably should be on. So even if he's in, I don't know if he fits like a cash mold. Maybe he's more like a GPP guy. Not because he's not a good player, not because he doesn't even have a floor. It's just that the price is just kind of nuts. So let's talk about the set pieces. If this lineup holds, Angelino and Nkunku will likely be splitting the sets. Olmo could jump on a few, but both of those guys have been the set takers most of the season. Angelino is, to me, is just almost like a lock and load in this lineup, playing wing back with some set shares where he's priced at. He's the guy I feel like on this slate actually has the best floor of anybody on either side. So it's going to probably be my first guy in my lineups. And Kunku is priced down. I think that, from a cash game perspective, he's definitely somebody that you build in just to get the floor, to get the 6 to 8 DK from the set pieces as well. I think it makes a lot of sense. It definitely helps that he's also in an attacking position. Danny Olmo should be popular too. Olmo, for the longest time when he made this move to Leipzig, was struggling. At the end of the Bundesliga season, he definitely started coming into form. If we go back to, his club before this, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the club's name, but he was just like a guy in these Champions League slates. We were just locking in, taking a ton of sets, taking a ton of shots, drawing fouls, doing all those things. So if that Danny Olmo shows up again, I definitely want a piece. So I think those are going to be the three most popular Leipzig pieces. Where we start, going to see roster differentiation is what are you going to do with Patrick Schick? So Patrick Schick loves to shoot, will be the fulcrum and the focal point of this Leipzig attack. But he's playing one of the best defensive teams in the world. How many shots is he going to be able to get off against them? I think I don't have a great answer for it. I think that that's going to, in a lot of ways, potentially decide the slate because you either go Schick or you start building in these Atletico pieces. And here's the thing about the Atletico pieces. Like, the floors suck. The sets are all over the place. So we really don't have a great, route to, you have to play this guy from Atletico. Maybe Koke is the one that jumps out the most, but it's a weird slate, and as are most Atletico slates. So I blame Simeone. But again, Schick, that's kind of going to be where, you start differing your lineups. I think personally he's more GPP to me. I don't see myself showing up in cash with him, but I wouldn't fault anybody if they did. Let's talk about the rest of the plays. Lamer and Campbell, they're center midfielders. Neither one of them has a set share. They're both good players, but don't know if it's the slate for them. Mukiele, fine wingback. If you need the value, he's going to be there. Just know that he doesn't cross a ton in comparison to Angelino. Now that I say that, he'll probably show up to 8 crosses, but towards the end of the Bundesliga season, he was not really getting forward. Halstenberg weirdly has a really solid floor, even though he's in the back three. He was routinely putting up 7, 8, 9 DK. If you look back at his logs, you might get a little misled. When he had crossing games, he used to take some set pieces for them. Since Angelino showed up, he doesn't take sets anymore. So for me, even though, he's shown up with good games, he's still a back three player. So I'm going to kind of treat him as such. Just know that if you start seeing a lot of people with him, it's because he still gets there with tackles, some shots. He still can, in this back three, when Angelino pushes the byline in possession, he can still get into a crossing position up here. So again, he's not the worst play ever, but not somebody I've been landing on. I think that wraps up Leipzig. Well, let's go over to the Atletico side. First thing I'm going to be watching is if Yannick Carrasco is in. Yannick Carrasco has been taking almost all their set pieces to end the season and it's been quite good. So I think he's actually potentially my favorite Atletico piece, which just sounds weird as hell to say, but he's only 5,400, so he fits in a lot of builds, gives you value if you decide you want to pay up anywhere, if you want to pay up for Felix or Morata. Plays in a wide position. But yeah, he's just been good. So I think that I really like Carrasco. The most popular Atletico piece I think people are going to lock in right away is Koke. I'll probably be doing the same. Does have a set share, although at the end of the season he had really not been taking many. But he takes the occasional free kick, and he's just another guy just gets there, gets tackles, gets fouls drawn, shows up with goals. So I think that he's just fine at 6,400. I think he's, if anything, he's a little low price. Though it's going to be 8K, 9K. So yeah, once you have those two, you can go anywhere. The next big thing I want to watch is if Kieran Trippier is in. When he's been in, he's still been taking some sets too. Again, these sets for Atletico are just a mess, and then they don't get a ton on top of it. But, we know Trippier has open play value too, even if towards the end of the La Liga season he wasn't showing it. I think the name recognition and the game logs too will make him fairly popular at 7K. So from a cash perspective, I'd be on him too. I think João Felix and Morata are more GPP geared, although if I think, with the salary, just the way they are, if you show up with João Felix and cash, like, I get it. It's still João Felix. He's one of the best young talents in the world, even though Simeone doesn't always let him play as such. Both he and Morata, like, if there's a goal notification for Atletico, I'm expecting it to be one of those two, which obviously puts them into play. Also, you just have to be realistic with, like, the salary. These guys are more in play than they would be if the salaries were tighter. Just, it's a very loose cap today. So, going with, a striker on a favorite or a slight favorite, always makes a little bit of sense. I will note Diego Costa's on the bench. If this is 0-0 in the 65th minute, just know one of these two is going to sub, if not both. I think Correa is the one with COVID? Yeah, Angel Correa and Semi Versaco are both out with COVID. Confirmed tests. I guess I shouldn't smirk. It's just weird. I thought these teams were more in the bubble or something like that. So I was really surprised to read that there was a player being tested positive. That could just be bad info from me that I thought they were in the bubble or more monitored. But anyways, both of them are out. So with no Correa in, that will immediately take away one of the subs from these two. So one of these guys could play 90. It's just kind of flip the coin on which one is going to do that. Jan Oblak, let me go before I go to goalie. Renan Lodi, so his price is just gross, 8,800 for him, but he is you could actually say he probably has the best floor on Atletico, because he doesn't have set pieces. It's always dependent on if Simeone is letting him really get forward or wants him to be pinned back in defense. So, excuse me, I think he's very in play. Just will depend on your roster construction. If you love your lineup and then you end up having 9,500 left over and you can take Lodi in, I would do it for cash and just go. I think in GPP at his price, he's probably just a little bit too steep that you want to shoot for a bit more upside to make it work. All right, now let's get to Jan Oblak. Oh, yeah, I'll do Jan Oblak. Then I'll go back to one more play I want to mention. If you don't think Leipzig score, or you think that they struggle, especially without their top scorer of the season, Jan Oblak is very in play. When we had a lot of Atletico showdowns, it was just something I did because Atletico is just such gross floors. But if they win 1-0, Oblak's floor is 10, right? 5 points for the win, 5 points for the clean sheet. He should at least see some shots here too. I don't think Leipzig's going to sit back and not get shots off. So, if Atletico wins 1-0, that's Simeone's favorite type of scoreline. Oblak could easily lead the slate in scoring. So I think he's cash viable, although, goalies are always a little difficult in cash. But in GPPs, I definitely think he's going to be somebody you want to target. Final player, Better Call Saul. Saul always shows up in big games. Don't know what it is. He's such a clutch player, but he 100% could be in play. I think he should be on PKs for them now too. So yeah, just if you really want kind of a low owned play, I don't think Saul is going to be owned where his pricing is at. And he shows up with 2 goals, I will not be shocked whatsoever. All right, let's talk about some GPP strategies. So I think the first GPP strategy I want to roll out is an Atletico stack. I don't think people are going to do it. Atletico is really gross for DFS. But if you did a capture method, if you think they're going to score 2 goals, you don't know where they're going to come from, but you do Morata, Felix, maybe you do Koke, Carrasco, and Oblak. There's some upside there. Run it back with Angelino or Olmo or Nkunku. I don't know if any of that fits. I'm sure if you fiddle with your captain, but that's the first one. Also, my guys at FS in our soccer chat will not let me live this down. I actually skipped Marcus Llorente. I did that purposely, and I have to do this for everybody. Marcus Llorente. If you don't know why I flipped him off, obviously I am a Liverpool fan. He ended Liverpool season with 2 of the most disgusting goals possible back all the way in March. So I still cannot look at Marcus Llorente and not get mad. So no, I'm not playing Marcus Llorente. He is for sure in play, especially with stacks, but no thank you. All right, I got that done. Apologies if anybody does not like the middle finger. That's just kind of the little joke inside of our chat. All right, GPP strategy 2 would actually be double goalie. If you just think this game is going to slog out, you could easily see both goalies show up with like 4 or 5 saves. If it gets like 0-0 through extra time, you could be cruising. So I do think that is in play. We saw in the MLS like last night that type of lineup was easily sweating because the Nashville keeper, stood on his head. I think had like 20 or 22 DK. So, if you either get an outlier from either of these goalies, you'll already be ahead. The other GPP strategy I just want to maybe talk about is I just think that like in GPPs, I think Leipzig's going to show up owned here. Just because they have the more attractive names, they have the more attractive style. So I really do think that like the GPP strategy here is just maybe try to play the Atletico pieces, and especially Oblak. But if you do want to go on the GPP side of things on Leipzig, if Sabitzer is in, I do think he is. I'm struggling to figure out his ownership. I actually think it might be high because of his logs. So maybe right away just take a stand and be way under the field on him, and just load up in the mid tier. Your Leipzig stack I think is actually pretty self-explanatory. It's Nkunku, Schick, Olmo, and Angelino. But if you want to really be contrarian, just think that all those guys just show up with good 4 games. You run it back with Oblak, and you get a random João Felix goal or a Morata goal. Maybe that's something that you want to do. But I think the biggest thing in GPPs always is just kind of figure out where everybody's going to be at, kind of project what you think are the optimal builds, right? And then immediately start pivoting away from those optimals so that you get into lower ownership situations. All right, guys. Thank you guys for the support. We will be back tomorrow for another Champions League preview. Hope you enjoyed this one, and good luck today. See you.